The first trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is finally here, giving us our first look at the direction Disney has decided to take this iconic character in this fifth and final installment of the Indiana Jones series. Now I wish I could say that I was excited for this movie, but unfortunately, after seeing how Disney mishandled the entire Star Wars franchise, I'm not really too excited to see any project that Disney-controlled Lucasfilm has to put out, and this will likely be the first project of Lucasfilm's that I watch since the release of The Rise of Skywalker. Now as for the trailer itself, it has a very nostalgic feeling to it, with the characters reminiscing about the good old days of adventure and discovery, and longing to go back to those simpler times. We see familiar faces, both heroic and villainous, from throughout the franchise, and we do get to see Indiana Jones once again don his iconic hat and whip as he goes out on his final adventure. All of that is accompanied by the iconic Indiana Jones score, once again composed by John Williams, who has come out of retirement for this final project, and I would say that combining all these elements are likely enough to get most people excited for this final installment. Though for me personally, I'm rather nervous about this nostalgic tone that this trailer seems to set up. What I would hope to see from Indiana Jones' final adventure would be some grand world-spanning adventure that shows us things we've never seen before and puts all of Indiana Jones' skills to the test, showing just how far he's grown throughout the years, and perhaps actually letting him put one of these artifacts in a museum for once. Yet instead it looks like we're going to get a reference-filled nostalgia trip into Indy's past, and that this film will rely on constant callbacks to better times to distract you from the mediocre product that you're currently watching. At least that's the sort of vibe that I'm getting from this trailer. Although another thing that has me worried about this project is that the tone of previous Indiana Jones movies doesn't really fit in line with the sort of tone that Disney goes for with most of their live-action offerings, especially the more modern ones. The classic Indiana Jones movies really pushed the limit of what you could show in a PG-13 movie, and they had this sort of gritty feel to them as the characters would get dirty searching for these ancient artifacts in deserts or caves, and the amount of decayed corpses and violence that those movies would show is something that I'm not sure that Disney would allow in their films these days. And this trailer already looks like it's going to be heavily relying on CGI effects rather than practical stunts, and has a very clean look to it, which has me worried that they'll take Indiana Jones in the same direction they took Star Wars in and try and make it feel more like a Marvel movie rather than what the original films were like. And to me it wouldn't feel right having a Marvel-toned Indiana Jones movie, as it wouldn't be consistent with the previous films. But if there's one thing that I'm most concerned about with this movie, it's the title and a couple of the scenes that were shown in this trailer. Now if we take a moment to dissect the title of this movie, it's called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and while we aren't shown this artifact in the trailer, I have a feeling it's going to be some sort of clock, which has me really concerned that it will be tied to time travel in some way. And while time travel can work in some plots, I don't think it's something that necessarily fits with Indiana Jones, and more often than not, time travel tends to ruin the continuity of previously established series that haven't featured time travel up to that point, and I'm worried that that could also be the case with this final Indiana Jones movie, and that the legacy of this character could potentially be tarnished with a terrible time travel plot that has the potential to do more damage to this brand than Aliens did in The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which would definitely be impressive if Disney manages to pull that off, though not welcomed in the slightest. And the thing that really sells me on this time travel plot is the fact that we see a de-aged Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, making him appear like he did in the original trilogy. And we also get a glimpse of the Nazi character from the first film who had his face melted off. So either we're going to be getting flashbacks to Indy's previous adventures, or I think we're actually going to see time travel in this movie, and both of which I feel will be done just for the sake of having nostalgic throwbacks, and not actually deliver a satisfying story, which is what I'm most concerned about. So while I do want to get excited for this final Indiana Jones film, I think I'll be more cautiously optimistic about it, as it does seem that this will be some sort of time travel plot filled with nostalgic callbacks to distract you from its plot, and just constantly throw references like, hey, there's that boulder from the first movie, or look at that, it's the villain from the first movie, or you remember this character, don't you? You probably don't remember his name, but you know he was definitely in one of the original trilogy films. Maybe two, but you aren't quite sure about that. And hey look, Indiana Jones has his hat and whip. Aren't you excited? Isn't this a good movie? We're reminding you of things you like. But at the very least, I hope that Lucasfilm has learned its lesson from Star Wars, and doesn't end up making a final installment that completely destroys the legacy of a beloved franchise yet again. But these have just been my thoughts on the first trailer for Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny. Do you think I've been a little too pessimistic about this final installment, or are you also fairly cautious going into this after what Lucasfilm did with Star Wars? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, thanks for watching.